The pain of discipline or the pain of regret? Which one do you want to live with? One can last a lifetime and one can change your life. That's what we're going to talk about today. My name is Troy Castellano, and this is Observations of a Middle-Aged Dream Chaser. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. If this is your second or third, this is my third video in this series. I really appreciate the comments that we've got on the first two. Anybody watching, thank you so much for that. But let's get into it. So, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. I think I would take the pain of discipline, because the pain of regret really does last a lifetime. It's things that you wish you did that you didn't do, and they just are always kind of tugging at the back of your mind throughout the rest of your life. So the less of that we can have, the better. Discipline is one of those things that's multifaceted. Discipline for me includes my diet. I need to be disciplined with that. Drinking, alcohol drinking, I need to be disciplined with that. Exercising, that's kind of low on my list because I want to take one vice at a time, which takes discipline as well. You know, which one do you want to pick first? Relationship upkeep, your day-to-day socialization with friends, career obligations. They all take a good amount of discipline to have any success with them. For me, the hardest thing is getting into the routine. Every one of these things you want to change in your life doesn't happen overnight. It takes some time. I'd say on average, all of it takes at least 3 months. That's kind of where the hump is. And the hump is where, it's a struggle and it's hard and you're fighting to do better, and you're always, contemplating that next choice. And then after you get past a certain spot, all of a sudden that's not on your mind because you're in this routine. And like 3 months for me is like, I'm not thinking about drinking with dinner. I'm not thinking about drinking in the evening. I'm past that. I'm probably in a spot where I'm actually working more and more productive, because for me, alcohol is an ambition thief. It has its place and it's fun, of course, but I was in this cycle of daily drinking. Not that I was drunk and belligerent every night. It was just that having a couple every night. And I realized after years that was really wearing on me. So over the last couple years, I've taken nice long breaks from drinking. And I've never felt better, sleep better, my relationships are better. So I have all that ammo now, knowing what the benefits are of not drinking. And I've done stretches of like 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. And I've really cut it down. And this is where the discipline comes in, because I've been to parties, I've been out to dinner where everybody is drinking, a lot, or just having a good time. I'll go out now and I won't even have a drink. If it's a special occasion, I'll have one, and the discipline comes in, and it's going through my mind during that whole evening or event where I'm just like, don't do it. Just stick to it. You're doing fine. You'll leave here and you'll be glad you didn't. So drinking is one of them things I got to really stick with discipline. I got to really maintain my discipline with drinking. Eating is another vice. It's like, oh man, we all love junk food, we all love greasy foods, and we all love convenient foods. This year, me and my wife had made a decision that we are going to cut out as much of the box food as we can, the prepared foods, the frozen foods. So we've been making a lot of things from scratch, Alfredos, and here's another tip, like fresh cheese. I didn't realize it for the longest time, but that cheese that comes in a bag, all shredded already, is like covered in wax. It doesn't even melt the same. It's already got all these preservatives to keep it from getting moldy in it. And so we started going with all fresh foods, fresh cauliflower, fresh broccoli, carrots, all of those vegetables for sure. Good cuts of meat, just fresh rice, all the cheese. We'd get real blocks of cheese and just grate it. Yeah, it's a bit of an inconvenience, but I can already tell a difference. With food and drinking, the clarity of my thought process is much better. Um, so I think food and drinking have a lot to do with your brain and your brain fog. And when you quit the drinking and you eat fresh foods, you feel better, you work better, you're more productive. And that takes discipline. And man, you got this brain that's always telling you, well, you could do this. Just a little won't hurt. But a little does hurt, because then you want a little more. Just be disciplined. Discipline is something that you can change, and you can always be better the next day. You know, another thing with me is like taking risks. Taking risks takes a little bit of discipline. You know that there's going to be hard times, and it's going to hurt a little bit when you go to make this change, and you're jumping into the unknown. But if you discipline yourself to understand that you don't know what it's going to be like unless you go through it, to just go through it. So that's kind of been my mentality, is just go for it. And if it doesn't work out, you'll wake up tomorrow, hopefully, and you can make another change. And that's another part of my philosophy, is every day is a second chance. The pain of discipline is only painful for so long. If you keep at what you're trying to achieve and you get through the hard change, you start making progress, and you look back 3 months, maybe 6 months, and you look back and you go, you can see the curve, you can see the change, you can feel the change. So just keep disciplined, and you won't regret it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Which brings me to an even more painful word: regret. Regret is something that we all live with. We all make choices that we wish we would have done something different. But for me, I guess with discipline and regret, I'm probably hitting 50-50. Discipline, I do pretty well. The last few years, for sure, like I said earlier here, was I've cut back on the drinking and been eating right. I feel better. I know that, so I keep on that track. Regrets, like there are times when I take risks, and admittingly, they're moderate risks. I don't want to risk too much to lose position or security. So for the most part of my life, the risks have been minimal, and I was always having a back door or a plan B. And now lately, I look at regrets like when opportunities come up, maybe I didn't want to do that, but I do it anyway. And after whatever it was, I feel so much better. I'm empowered knowing that just do it next time. If you don't want to do it and you do this thing and you come back on the other side and you're like, dang, I'm so glad I did that. I was so not wanting to do it, but I did. That happens to me in Nashville a lot. You know, there's many nights that I've regretted not going to town for an event. There's something happened, so-and-so showed up, your friends say, hey, we were looking for you, and I just decided to just stay home, work in the studio, and not have to do a lot, right? There's many times that I'm sitting on the couch, and I know this thing's coming up, and I'm thinking of ways to get out of it. I don't want to do it, but, you know, I get off my butt and I go do it, and I'm glad I did, and I don't regret it. What I'm kind of getting at here is like, do the things that you don't want to do so you don't regret it. I think living life with less regrets is easier. You don't have to keep stacking them up. And there's different kinds of regrets. There's big regrets, there's small regrets. Small regrets are like what I was saying, like I should have got off the couch that night. Oh man, I shouldn't have ate that box of donuts or that roll of donuts. Oh man, maybe this is small or not, but I should have called my friend back that night. You know, now he's too busy, he ain't getting back to me. Just little regrets like that we can get through, but they are regrets. Big regrets are things like, man, for me personally, this is a little bit more of my life. I wish I would have finished high school. I was 16, super independent, homeless for a little bit, and I didn't finish high school. I thought, who needs high school, man? I'm gonna be one of these guys like that I grew up around, or my friends. I'm gonna be a carpenter. I'm gonna be a concrete guy. I'm gonna be a mechanic. I'm gonna be doing these laboring kind of jobs. So I always thought, man, what's the point of school for me? I'm gonna be a musician. Truly, what I really thought. But I regret not going to finishing high school and going to college right away. Going to college right away, you get that off of your plate and you're still in your 20s, and now you've got your life ahead of you. I did it all backwards. I basically got kicked out of school. I worked in a paint booth for most of my 30s and played in a rock band 2 to 3 nights a week, and thought, oh man, one day I'm going to turn this cover rock band into my money maker. But it never came to be. So the regret of leaving school, not going to college. Now, I did these things later in my 30s. I mean, right around 29 and 30, actually. I went and got my GED. I was so fed up with that labor and day job that was only making the boss happy and never me happy. Sure, I was getting paid, and that let me buy things like more guitars and dirt bikes, but man, I was never really satisfied. So one day I came home and I said, to hell with it, quitting this job. I'm forcing myself to go get my GED, and I'm enrolling into college. So at 30 years old, I went to college and got a degree in computer imaging and web design. But the regret there is I wish I would have done that all right away when I was young, because I wouldn't have had to go through it in the middle of my life. Another regret is I wish I would have focused on making original music. Most of my stories will be around music, because that's what I do. I'm a full-time songwriter, musician, producer. What I mean by that was, if you know my story, I played a lot of years in cover bands. I always dabbled in original music, but never put that 100% in the forefront until I was in my 40s. There's a whole nother video. The first video on this series talks about that. It's a big regret. I wish I would have just done original music. The cover band stuff was an instant way to get gigs and get paid and get some attention for what we do, right? But as I learned later in life, most of my accolades came from me being me and making my own music. So I wish I would have done original music right from the start. But like back in the beginning of this, every day's a second chance. So I started to slowly turn my focus on being an original artist. So that's another big regret in my life. There's another one that I guess we don't see until we're older and a little wiser, but I wish I would have spent more time with my parents. Of course, when you're in your teens, 20s, and 30s, man, you want to be the farthest away from your parents, because for me it was like, those are the ones that tried to keep me down and wouldn't let me do what I want. But as you get older, you realize, man, your parents were right. They were pretty cool too. They're pretty cool to hang around and just have dinner with and talk about growing up and your life. And I lost my dad. He was only 62, so he was pretty young in my eyes. I had my parents through my 20s and 30s, or I had my dad through my 20s and 30s, all the years before that too. But like I said, those were all the years that I was chasing my own hopes and dreams, and I was wanting to be independent. I didn't want to be around my parents. I had left all of that, right, to become an adult. But I truly regret not spending as much time with my mom and dad as I ended up doing in my later years. I wish I'd have done the fishing with my dad. A year before he died, we started getting on that track. And then, lo and behold, he had cancer, and we weren't able to progress that any farther. That's where that regret comes from. So if your parents are around, go visit them. Make the phone call. Call them every day. It doesn't hurt. And plus, you'll feel better, and you will live without the regret of not doing those things. And then my mom, who recently passed away here in December, in her life after my dad died, I was kind of her go-to. I was still living in Minnesota, not in Tennessee yet. I was kind of her go-to for her daily troubles, if she needed something fixed at the house, or needed help with something, or doctor's appointments and all of that. I did spend time with her, but not as much as I wished. And then now the regret comes in, and I know we all go through it, but I eventually wanted to move away from home, and 1,000 miles away from home. And at the time, my mom was perfectly healthy. I didn't even think about those things. I guess I was back on my own track. I'm going to make this change. I was going to go for it. I was going to give 100% of my effort to work in the music business. So we moved to Nashville. Like I said, I didn't really realize how much of that relationship would be severed. I kept thinking, oh, we got iPhones, we got iPads, we can keep in touch. That worked for a little bit. Then my mom got a little older, and it was harder for her to see the screen. It was harder for her to read and send messages. All in all, I don't regret moving to Tennessee, but there is some regret there about being farther from my mom and not being in contact with her as much. And right now it's kind of gets emotional and hurts a bit because I was talking to her every few days on the phone, and especially Sunday mornings, and now I don't have that. So man, if your parents are around, give them as much time as you can. I know you probably don't think that they're cool and you got better things to do, but it's something, if you do it, you won't regret it. And you don't want to stack up the regrets. Do those things that you don't want to do. You'll be better for it all the way around. You'll feel better. It will make you a better person, your better relationships. All of these things, discipline and regret, they kind of work together. If you do the right things, you're going to be a better person all the way around. And like I said a few times, and this is kind of going to be a motto for me, every day is a second chance. If you regret doing this one thing you didn't, but you still have the opportunity to do it, just do it. Discipline. Get through the 3-month hump, whether it's the drinking or the food or the exercise or the new employment, whatever it is, just go for it. You can't lose, and life is short, so why not do it today? All right, guys, if you made it through this video all the way through, thank you so much. I know your time is valuable. I'd love you to do one favor for me. Put this word in the comments, discipline. And what that does is let me know that you watched this all the way through. It also helps the YouTube algorithm put this video in front of more people like me and you. Lord knows we all need this kind of support, and we need to hear it from other people to just follow your dreams and just go for it. You can always go back to what you're doing. That will always be there. But I guarantee you, you'll feel better about making the right choices and doing the right thing and looking back after a year and seeing how far you've come. Now you have that all that ammunition to go, here's proof that it works. Follow your hopes and dreams. Start today, start tomorrow, but start. All right, guys, thanks a lot for watching again. Please hit the subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and hit the notification bell. And that way you'll get notified when I put out another video on this series. All right, guys, God bless and peace. And remember, every day is a second chance. All right. Peace.